Gurkaram again. I have been in the social sector space, non-profit space for a long time. But apart from my passion to serve the communities, I hold a very dear passion to travel and travel in the weirdest and non-conventional ways as I can. So there are many experiments that I keep doing, and that's where I want you to hold a conversation towards. Travel, because travel, I link a lot of lessons which I've observed and learned during my travels into the way I bring forward myself as a leader or at my work, but generally as a human being. So generally, when and how I feel connected with the world in general, a lot of those things have been driven from my experiences in the last 7-8 years. Right? I don't share much, but I don't share it on social media or blogging and stuff. But I just like doing that and being present there and just be with myself. So this is one very interesting conversation that was going on between me and one of my colleagues. This human being, I think, is the most energetic person I know. Like, she's a 40 years old lady, mother of a 12-year-old child, staying out of Bay Area, and very energetic. She recently came to the office, and I don't know. Like, she used to be in Ayurveda. Maybe that's why she has all her doshas very balanced. But she's very infectiously there. And one thing which, while I was talking to her about how she manages that energy, was just that I'm not looking into past or future. I'm just trying to make sense of what's going on right now. And that is one principle that really inspired me after listening to her. And this conversation just started, where the conversation was that we are a part of a large universe, which is around 93 billion light years large in length, around 110 into 10 raised to power, I think 24 stars around 2 trillion galaxies. Out of all these galaxies, we have a small galaxy, not a very large, not a very small, which is Milky Way, where there are around 100 billion stars. Right? Out of all the stars, the large ones, the short ones, is the medium-sized stars, which is the Sun. And we have around 8 to 9, people can debate on that, identified planets, where we know that, okay, there's one planet where there's life. And in that planet, we have around 8 billion people. Right? So if we look into the larger spectrum of where we are, but exactly we're a part of, we are like just a small speck in the universe, like not even significant. But still, there are many conflicts that we internally hold. There are many desires, many wants. Like we are running behind a lot of things. But when we start realizing that we actually very insignificant, that can also pose a question of existential crisis also. Like, that's where we also landed. And we concluded the conversation in a very positive note, which I'll tell towards the end of the conversation. But yeah, and there's a human out of those 8 billion. 1 in septillion or even more. But what are we seeking generally? If I generally ask you folks also, like, what exactly is the purpose of life? What are we seeking? Because I don't want to go very discursive or very preachy here. I will try to keep it more practical and observational. Many words like happiness, purpose, freedom, etc. Like, these are the words that generally come in, right? Or sukoon is what we're trying to chase. Now, freedom can be through a lot of money, and you earn that money, so you have the freedom to go wherever you want to go. Right? So you're not held back with anything. So the idea is, when we talk about freedom also, we talk about freedom that okay, let's actually discuss this. When we talk about freedom, if I have to put it in a phrase, what exactly are the different forms of freedoms we are chasing behind? Financial freedom, right? That's one. But social or cultural freedom, right? If you have to put it into a phrase or sentence, what exactly would you say? Freedom of money, or freedom from money, or freedom from exploitation, let's say. Right? That exactly. So that's a big question. Is it of or from? Right? Do I want freedom of something, or I want abundance of something? Or do I want freedom from something? Because when we talk about from here, then we are already in a cage. That's why we want to come out of it. Right? So unless there are boundaries, unless there is a prison that we have created ourselves around us, that from thing is not going to go away. So there's prison. That's why we want freedom from that particular prison. Or you can look at it into a off center also. Or how I say, you can also look at through. Right? So there's a rat who is just running behind on a wheel and trying to chase all the material wealth or whatever desires they have. But the moment that whole construct goes away, the rat is free. Right? It's not like the rat has already achieved these things and then the rat is getting free there. Right? Even if you get all those material things or all those desires fulfilled, you'll have more things to really change forward from. Right? I follow J. Krishnamurti, and he talks about freedom in a very interesting way. He said, "There's a past, there's a future. Till the point you're thinking about the past, you are not free. Till the point you're thinking about the future, you're not free." In the present moment, also, at times when we're over analyzing everything, I'm feeling cold, I'm feeling this and that. Even if I'm in present, I'm still not free because I'm analyzing everything and not observing. Right? So they talk about freedom from those prisons through awareness, presence, mindfulness, trust, clarity, or one word that I really like is non-doing. Like non-doing and just flow. And that's the space or state that we also try to go for at times. Like I want to get into a flow state. But when I ask you the question, what exactly happens in a flow state? I'm sure all of us have been in the flow state or have imagined a flow state to be one way or the other, right? Even in creative field, your state might look very different from while you are, let's say, doing something in IT or you're doing something else, you're building something physically. But the flow state will have some characteristics to it. If I ask you all the question and open to all your shares, what do you see in a flow state? What do you see? Sorry? Losing track of time. What else? Satisfaction.
It's when the challenge is not overwhelmingly difficult, so as to lose motivation, but it's also not easy enough so that it's not worth pursuing.
Yeah.
It's a mix of things. I think a good book by I think Mihai, I think he has a book on flow state.
Okay.
Very specifically, as a diagram comes from flow state on a 2-axis chart. I think that's it's like a middle ground between it's good enough, but it's also not easy.
But
it's like anxiety and boredom.
There's a resilience space also, people say. Like under boredom and anxiety, there's a resilience space. When in resilience state, then you are in flow. My question is, while you're doing the same thing today, you may be in flow state, but doing the same thing tomorrow might be different. Right? It's not just the factor of how easy the task is or how challenging the task is. It's also the factor of a lot of other things that are going on around us. Yeah. Losing track of time is one thing. Having lots of autonomy of feeling the autonomy of time, feeling the autonomy of whatever I want to do, having that creative liberty also comes in there. Once you are put into all the constraints, इसको ऐसे ही काम करना है, you have to deliver it by this time, you have to do this thing, you should look like this or that, and you're not actually focusing on the work, but you're focusing on the results. That's where your flow state goes away. But the moment you're focusing just on getting the thing done right now, that's when the flow state starts emerging out. Is my observation overall. Like as in Gita also says, karam kar pal ki chinta mat kar. That karam is what gets you to the flow state rather than thinking about what's going to happen, because thinking about what's going to happen is the future. And thinking about what went wrong last time and all the other things, that's the past, right? Having a fear if I don't deliver it on time, then I'm screwed, my boss is going to do X, Y, Z. That's also again the future. But while you're there and observing and just understanding what you're feeling while you're feeling it is the present space that we're talking about.
I think what I've noticed, like sometimes if you have certain constraints, constraints if it's made by you, I think it's still reach to a person's. Like most of sports have certain constraints. Like without constraints, sports will just be out. But even any intellectual person, like I don't know. At least maybe it's like
I get it.
When you have a deadline or something, you go into this thing and you get so much done in hyper-focus. Yeah.
I think that's the ADHD thing. Even I go through that part. But
so you need some constraints.
See, constraints you can look at as constraints can be constraints, or constraints can be either you are accepting those constraints or these are imposed on you. Yeah. So when they are imposed, you are not again feeling that autonomy for yourself. If you are accepting those constraints, like this was one conversation with one of my therapists. He was like, don't do anything, you have been doing a lot. Take a break, but choose to take a break. Don't take a break because I'm telling you that you need a break and that's why you should not be doing anything. Because you always keep thinking about ye karna tha, and this is something which is pending, or I could have been using my time this way. You choose to do that, and the moment you choose to do something, then that's going to bring in more glory and more harmony in your life rather than it being instructed, is just the distinction. Yes, there needs to be boundaries. If you have to work, you have to be ethical, you have to be moral, etc. Those are the bare minimum ones. But you're choosing to do that rather than you are being asked to follow those. Yeah. This is one quote by J. Krishnamurti again. Can you look at the flower without thinking? When you're looking at it, are you comparing the flower to all the other flowers that you have seen? Or, okay, I could have given this flower to this person. Oh, why don't I take a picture because that will go really good on Instagram, etc. So all those thoughts come in because there are future thoughts. Or last time I saw this flower, I tried to pluck it and there were thorns, like it hurt me. So I should not be doing that. That's also fear. That's also coming from the past. So just thinking and observing in that moment, and which is very minute, just look into the flower for 5 seconds. Or when you're walking and taking a walk at night, what are you exactly doing? Are you looking into the shapes around? Are you just observing what you can hear, what you can see? Or are you just thinking about, okay, what I need to do next? Or why is it this way? Why is it so cold? Why is it so warm or so hot, etc. Right? So that's where the distinction just comes in. The challenge is ADHD, as you mentioned. ADHD, I think, for most of us is not from the childhood, which is the actual definition of the whole disorder. It's more generated through our attention span going down because we have so much neural stimulation going on around it. Right? We don't walk without a headphone or without listening to music, but that 15-minute of walk can be very different if we don't do anything actually. We just walk and observe. Right? And that's what I try to do during my travels, and that's why I love to travel also. Because when I go traveling, that's when I switch on from most of these things and just focus on what I need to do. I'll give you an example of how exactly does it feel. Some of these things you already mentioned. If I say the second part, can feel my body well, when was the last time you actually focused on your feet? I actually felt what's going on in the feet. That answer may vary for different people. Or at times when you meditate, you just go there. But when you're feeling really anxious and you need to calm yourself down, just focusing on your breath or focusing on your feet can just bring you back to the center. And you are at a frequency, that frequency is very turbulent, you just need to streamline that. So that's where the flow, or that's where the presence also come in.
I feel it can feel my body well. It's for me, I think it might be the opposite. It's like I'm in flow and I'm like working for like whatever 8 hours, 9 hours, and then I realize, oh my god, my back has been hurting by just sitting, right? So I'm just curious if you had any other thoughts around that. Like,
see, like, for me,
or was it only mostly because of the travel aspect that you're talking?
Like from a more physical, if you're walking, if you're doing something, then you're in flow because of that. Correct. Now, who stays in flow state the most? If I ask this question, do you have any popcorn thoughts? Like kids, exactly. I think the more infant the child is, the younger they are, the more they are in flow because they're not thinking about past or the future. Like, this is, I want this, I want that. Even if they're crying and even if they're throwing all their tantrums, they are there. So that's the state which we lose as we grow up. And that's why, like, if a child just walks inside the room, they'll be the most confident people right now, probably in the room also. Right? And everybody's attention will go there. But if an adult is doing the same thing, they are not vibrating at the same frequency as a child would. And we might just find them not too significant as we'll feel it with children. Why do we love dogs or animals or cats? Because they're present in that state. The people who have a different aura, okay, this is such a charming person, I just love their energy when they move into the room, they're mostly present. They're mostly in a space where they know they are able to be aware of their breath, they are able to be aware of how their body moves, what they're thinking. They're not thinking about past or future, but what's going on right now. And so they are mostly in the observational state. Again, it's a long journey. It's not like it's achievable in a month or a year. It's a lifelong process, and people have different ways of doing it. And travel is what I choose to find my flow state through. Freedom from not doing. And the idea is that whatever I do as an experiment in my travel, I try to just implement that back in my workspace also. Right? There's a experiential learning component where even if I've not tried the same thing but something similar to that, I can just connect it back and be able to do it better. Like when good heavy lifters go and lift the weight, they just visualize themselves doing that first, and then they go and lift that weight. But now their body in one way or the other is aware of how they are going to feel. If there's going to be struggle, they are already visualizing the struggle. So when the struggle actually comes, they're able to pull it up. Right? So I'll just share. Yeah.
I just have one question on travel. The intersection of travel and flow state. Travel usually also involves a lot of planning and deliberate action.
Yeah.
How does that sort of cooperate?
That's my first story. Yeah. So that's what I don't like about the part of in traveling. When somebody says, "Okay, 2 minutes baad chalna, let's do the booking," I'll be like, "I'm not going with you. Let me just go alone." There are very few people I travel well with, and there's one, my best friend who I met in my first job, when I was 22, 23 years old. He is the one who also does that equally when I'm also doing. Very spontaneous, right? I'll just show one spontaneity here. There's some of my, I have to bring in my archives from Instagram. I was in Ladakh, I was staying in Ladakh for 1 month. It was in 2022. During COVID, I had liberty to work from anywhere. So I was staying in a hostel. Like, who all have been to Ladakh or Leh? We would go to Pangong Lake, Nubra Valley, right? I have not done any of those things. I was there for a month, but I didn't do any of the touristy spots. I did explore my own things by foot or by any public transport. Very cheap travel, right? You can, like I would say within 20,000, I was staying, eating, and doing all the things also for a month in Ladakh. That was my budget also. I went for the bus because I had 2 days in the weekend. I wanted to go to a village called Ne Village, which somebody recommended. It's a newly explored. There's a really good Buddha temple also, and you can just go there and explore how things are. I wanted to go there. I just went for the bus. There was no bus. The last bus had already gone to that place. So okay, I'm like, all right, let's do hitchhiking. So just instead of thinking, okay, now my first barrier has come in. Now this is just blocker. I can't actually do. What else can I do? Okay, let me just go and walk. I went to the highway. Highway was nearby. From the highway, first car, then a bus, etc. And then a truck driver also came in. So I sat with this truck driver. He's like, I'm going to Zanskar. If you want to go with me to Zanskar, let's go to Zanskar. But it's going to be another 1 week of journey. There I had to take a call. Okay, I'm not going to do that because I have my work in next 2 days. I have to be back. Okay, all right, fair. There's a Gurudwara called Patthar Sahib which comes on the way. My first stop for that day was Basbo. That's a village. From there, Ne village climb also starts. So I'll go to Basbo. I went to the Gurudwara, went there inside, talked to a lot of army officers, talked to a lot of truck drivers who were asking me why you are doing what you are doing. We'll drop you back to Leh because people don't understand the whole idea of why you are traveling the harsher ways, right? So I was sitting and eating inside the truck, eating with them, having my dinner, etc. It was 7:30, talking to the army officers where I asked them, can I just pitch my tent here? I have my tent, I have my sleeping bag, I'll just sleep. So they again were contesting, no, you can't do that, you should not do that and all. And then there's a guy from Basgo who was around and was there for some electrical work in the Gurudwara. He said, I am going to Basgo, I'll drop you there. Now, him and his father in a pickup truck kind of thing, they both were sitting aage and they had the whole the storage space empty. They asked me, can I just go and adjust that? I just sat on the back of it. It was September, very cold if we look at the temperature in Ladakh, but there's a Gurudwara while we are just leaving it out. The moment we came out of that area, there were no lights. I saw the most beautiful view of Milky Way in my life. For 20 minutes, I was on the back of a truck, and it's just moving, right? So everything is just moving. I can see some mountains pass by, and there's a Milky Way constantly standing on the top of my head, and like something which you would see in photos or probably some movies or some stories. But just being there for those 20 minutes, I didn't care for taking any picture. Okay, anyway, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So there was nothing. I was just looking. No story came to my mind. Okay, I'm going to go and share this story this way to somebody, etc. Nothing came. I was there. We reached Basco. I told the guy, okay, I'm going to go and pitch my tent somewhere around. He said, no, you come and stay with us. So I'm staying with a stranger's house. In the morning, they are giving me good food, dal, roti and chai. So it's from their house. I walked to Ne, another 2 to 3 kilometers of walking, upward walking. I'm trying to find a place to pitch my tent and where I can eat from, right? So I found a place where there was an open area. It was gated. So I asked somebody, the name of the person was Sonam. He said, okay, why don't you just pitch your tent here? That should be all right. So I pitched my tent in this compound, started walking around in the village and met this uncle. This guy was an army veteran of 1971 war. in the Buddhist attire. He's still wearing his army jacket. He's telling me his stories from what happened when they were in the war. He was like, I was probably the last person who brought our last troops back to Leh from the whole affected area, the sector. He's sharing his story. They had a cat. There was a lady who cooked food for me. So they cooked food. I like, I'm hungry. I just want to eat. I will pay you. So she cooked food and I ate with them. And then at night, this is what I saw. So I wish there were more better lights, but there's a Milky Way. That's my tent. I'm just sitting there. There's nobody around. I'm in somebody's compound. I'm just enjoying myself. And that was my space of not doing. Now, through the way, there were many reasons for me to go back. Right? First, okay, I'm probably not finding the first or second uh, lift very easily. But you keep going, you keep walking. It's like I have the autonomy of time. I have the autonomy of what I want to do. I'll be safe. I usually carry a knife with myself, so at least those things are sorted. There will be a stick, walking stick. So in case something happens, I'll be able to manage that. But the trust always says that nothing is going to happen. So why don't I just walk? So you walk and something happens. And coincidentally, while I was thinking about what should I be talking about, I just went on a walk outside my house last week for 15-20 minutes, and I just kept walking wherever my body felt right. Okay, I should take this and I should take that. Eventually, just turned around without taking any route towards my house. I just turned to a circular road which led me back to the society where I live in. And that's when I was like, yeah, actually, this is the flow state. But I'm not thinking, I'm just moving, and where my body is taking me, I'm just going along with that body. Right? So that's one of the experiences of hitchhiking. I've done the same in Punjab, done the same in Goa. I was in Goa, from Goa to Gurkaram and all. Meeting many random people, but still making good stories, good connections. One of my really good friends is from one of the hostels whom I shared the same dormitory with. Oh, he's a really good friend. Right? So you can call it whatever. Bhagavad Gita also says ki karam kar, phal ki chinta mat kar. Stoicism also talks about claim the day. And Steve Jobs also said ki if you connect the dots backwards, you'll actually understand. But actually, it was meant to happen for you, right? So there are many words, many languages, many cultures who have said the same thing. It's just that we need to interpret and choose whatever works the best for us. What I make sure that I'm doing while I'm traveling, there are three things. One is not doing. Let life happen. Let's see what will happen. I'll just take a bus and go. I'll have a destination, but I'll not have a means to go there. Right? अगर बस ये वाली नहीं मिली है तो okay, let's go to a train station and see if I can get a train, because I have also traveled in trains in the general compartment where there will be 20 people in the same berth of 9 people and they're just managing their life. But what works is when you're talking to them, they're making space for you. Okay, why don't you just come and sit here? थोड़ा आगे हो and stuff, because people will care for you if you invite them to come and open up to you, right? So non-doing, don't really plan anything apart from the basics, and eternally kills the essence for me. So that's the answer to what you were asking. Or you call it manifestation. You're always like, I'm in abundance, nothing is going to happen to me, everything is going to fall right in place. That
Can I ask a question?
happens. Yeah.
Have you had a horror story where close led you into a sober or bad situation?
Not really. Not really. Like I was in Gokarna where I met a drug dealer, and he had a knife in his hand, and he was asking me to come and go and eat with him because he wanted to pick chicks somewhere. So that was his whole idea. He was like, and he told me later that I'm a drug dealer, left my house while I was 6 years old, and also that kind of thing happened. And I texted my partner, very okay, this is the situation, this is the photo of the person, just be aware. I'll tell you when I'm getting out of here. And I asked her to keep calling me again and again. So I can just use the bro code, bandi call aa raha, bar I'll have to just go and take that. So that's how I got myself out. But he had my number, and while I was staying in Goa for 7 months before Bangalore, and it happened while I was in Goa. So that guy called me, hey, I'm near your place. Can you just host me for the night? So I had to come out of that by treating him with dinner and all. Because bahar baith ke hum kuch aur kha lete hain. I can't get you in my house because there are a lot of people and stuff. So that balance I had to manage. But I think that's the worst or the most extreme it would have gone to. Next is observation. When we go to a new place, we observe everything. If we go to, let's say, China tomorrow or Japan tomorrow, it is completely different architecture, how the roads are built, how people are, what they are doing, etc. You'll be very observant, right? I try to do that every time because that observation ka aadat, that whole habit of doing that just brings in more clarity when we are also working. While I'm working, am I like with ADSG you tend to multitask, but that's the practice of not multitasking at work also. I'm sitting and observing everything. Okay, what's going on? I'm aware of the emotions of people. I'm aware of the work that I'm going to do. If you're going to a meeting, how people are sitting, and there are 5 people. So it's being in awareness of that part also at least centers you, so you can present better rather than adding any much uh, big benefit to it. And experiments. That's the first thought. Take the lead. I was driving to Uti recently. I had a bike, my cousin's bike. I'm like, give me the bike, I'll just go. I went there. There was a guy, random guy from my hostel, who was sitting behind me, and we just took a very random route. We entered somebody's tea estate, and now we are trespassing. What exactly do we do if somebody catches us? So we decided if somebody catches us, we'll tell them we are tea traders, and we are trying to open a cafe, and we are here for sampling. We just went and we reached the factory. We actually went inside and tested the samples with that whole story, and now we are having those samples, and we purchased a lot of tea also at a very less price, like very wholesome kind of rates. So chal gaya. So now those things also work. What I'm practicing my confidence of how it's illegal, or not very moral for me to do that, but it's a story. This just takes you there. And this what happens. Non-doing just makes me in a habit of giving my best shot. Trust the process, trust the work I'm doing, rather than think, okay, maybe this is a wrong approach. Let me do it. Let me have a proof of concept before I even decide it's going to work or not, right? And compassion and awareness also works because with people, then I'm able to be there for them, listen to them more actively, rather than just have an agenda or respond in a very active way. Observation, pick up on cues on what's actually missing, like something which I just talked about. An experiment helps me take big bets, stepping out of the comfort zone, and really doing something non-conventional at work also at times. These are 2 mantras that I usually follow. First is never count days, always count hours, because we say we don't have time. But if you leave at 10 p.m. on Friday and are okay to return by 4 a.m. on a Monday, we actually have 2.5 days in total, right? And if you spend your nights traveling and reach there in the morning and then you do whatever you want to do and come back, you can actually do more travels. And second thing is the time is inversely proportional to the expenses. You can choose to take a flight, but if you take a general bogie of a train, you can reach from here to Delhi. Double your time for sure. If you can reach somewhere in 2 hours, you will take at least 4 to 5 hours. But now I'm not spending anything, but I'm having the luxury of time as much as I need. There are 4 modes which I love. First is traveling, but you don't need to really think solo travelers are lonely, they're not. They're the most connected people you'll find while you're traveling. Hitchhiking, by just trusting the universe and you'll reach somewhere. Something good will happen because you need to trust that something good will happen to you. Trekking and camping are my second passions apart from those. Either I'm backpacking or I'm trekking. And that not just helps you turn off from the world, it tests your limits. When you're walking for 10 days, 4 hours every day, after a point you will get to a state where tears will start flowing off your eyes by itself. Right? Your body is so exhausted. Now after getting your body empty, you are emptying your emotions. So that's how it helps. And staycations are just a way to not just touch the surface of us in the city and what people usually experience, but actually just go and be a part.
What is the average number of days that you travel?
This should be 2 weeks to a month.
Generally, from your travels.
In COVID, I have done months and
Stay there for months.
Stay there for a month, or I would just travel for 10-15 days. 2-3 दिन यहाँ पे and go somewhere else. I did Hamta Pass for example. We went to Hamta Pass by ourselves. Like Hamta Pass generally is a 4-day trek. So me and my friend were like, oh, let's take a tent. We bought a tent actually for that trek only. Tent and all, our own stove, our own gas. We'll just figure it out. There will be many people to follow and we'll just figure it out. We went there and from there we went to Spiti Valley. Now while we are in Spiti Valley, there's a restriction on getting bikes because the taxi union doesn't allow you to do that. We went to the taxi driver, the president, told him we are YouTubers and all that shit. We want to explore Spiti in the best way it can. Can you allow us to take bikes? He said, okay, you take taxi one day, the rest of the days you can take bike. We were the only people with the Lake Kaza registered bikes all across in the Spiti Valley. Everybody else was just bringing their own bike. You just need to always ask. I think that's what works out. You don't assume that it's not going to work. Just go and ask and try. For sure. My travel toolkit. These are the essentials. A rucksack. If you don't have it, please get it. Cargos works the best, better than jeans, but cargos are best. Hiking shoes, even if you're in a city, you can have a non too thick hiking shoe, but a hiking shoe will always work well. You'll be able to walk well, at least on the roads and all, where there are a lot of gravel. Socks and undies, as much as you can. It's my experience. When you go short, have a handbag, so you can wash and dry it on the go. Nuts and peanut butter you always should carry. Peanut butter and bread is like a staple. If nothing else, you have a peanut butter and bread in your sorted. Water bottle and electrolytes. Electrolyte is something which people usually don't really emphasize on, but if somebody gets sick, electrolyte is going to just food poisoning is the biggest or the most frequent challenge that you'll be facing, right? And that will help you out. And pocket knife. Very underrated, but have a small one which is legal. You can also carry it in a flight, not in the cabin, but at least in your rest of the stuff. The good to have are tent and a sleeping bag if you are for more adventure. A stove and a butane, some matches. Stove and butane is again not too expensive. You can get a stove for 700-800 rupees. And a butane gas, a smaller canister is 300-400 rupees. So you can always manage. A header again, a torch, and a power bank. Some apps which work the best. Couchsurfer is my always go to go. Couchsurfer is a community. Have you heard about Couchsurfer?
Yeah.
Anything? Couchsurfers is a community of people all across the world. Where if you're traveling somewhere, you can just ask people, "Hey, can I take your couch?" And they'll invite you to their house and you can just stay with them. So they'll host you. It's very much based on how good reviews are there on your profile. It's a very extremely safe, extremely welcoming kind of people is what you find. It's very active in India. In Bangalore, there are big communities and big groups that meet on a monthly basis and just discuss their couchsurfing experiences. So you don't really need money to stay. If you're traveling on the go and backpacking, from one end of the country to the other end, you're always on couchsurfers. Like in Bangalore, there are 600-700 people hosting, ready to host you. Booking.com is more diverse and you'll actually find all the good and bad spots. Red Bus MMT. OSM Maps is the most underrated app for finding any trails which are not too conventionally there. Even your trekking trails you can find on OSM Maps. If you're doing an alpine style trek, you'll always take that app along with it. So you just need to download the map of that particular state. And that state, if Himachal is what you have downloaded, Himachal, every line, every map, there's a waterfall. This is a nomad's trail. This is a normal road trail, etc. Everything you find there. Where is my train? If you're on a train, you'll find where exactly you are. GPS alarm works really well. If you're traveling and you're on the go, you might not know when you are going to reach there, but your location will know, right? So you can always set an alarm of when my location is within 10 kilometers of this area. Just wake me up. Nomad Herd or Tutina, these are the female solo travelers communities. Similar to Couchsurfer, but again, only female, and all the female solo travelers in that area, they will mostly be there, so you can just connect with them and go for the meetups and reach out to them and travel along with them. If you're planning something, you can always ask them what exactly did work for them. So that's one. And Backpacker is again a app for all the like not just women, but again a solo travelers kind of community. For solo traveling, go for hostels as much as you can. Skip the cabs, walk or take public transport if you can. Always ask. That is a very underrated. That's a very underrated thing. Always ask in your work also, of course. Always ask. Trust in yourself. Keep some cash and listen to the stories and everything going on. For hitchhiking again, ask but shamelessly ask. You're actually not doing anything. You're going to give them a good time with your stories and they're going to share their stories. So listening becomes a trade-off here. So when you listen to them and be like a pseudo-therapist while you're there sitting with them asking about their family, what happened, etc., what are their stories, they also like that. And maybe next time they'll be more open to giving somebody else also. Keep a walking pool because at times you might have to walk a lot. Right? Skip the nights. At nights you might not find much people doing it, of course, for the obvious reasons. And don't, like very low ROI. Go for hostels. Break the route in smaller chunks. If you're going from Delhi to, let's say, Agra, just have 50 kilometers per chunks and ask for that particular route. Can you drop me there? Because people might take a D route into their own village or a town.
So on the highway, just break it out. So when you are talking to them, you may find you actually going to Agra, so they can talk with them. But for the first interaction, you can always ask for a nearby spot where they can talk with you. Bikes and trucks are the most helpful. And trucks at times might ask you, give me 20 rupees, I'll drop you there, which is fine. You can always do that. Listen and connect, keep cash again. That's the word, you'll always get through. If pitching a tent, do it in somebody's compound, otherwise police and all might also just come and ask you to remove it. Right? So better to not get to that kind of hassle. And if stuck, look for free spaces. India is not short of that. I always make sure that I'm able to find a Gurukdwara if I'm stuck. Just go inside the Gurukdwara and you can just stay. They'll let you stay there for a nominal fee or no fee at all. And not just Gurukdwara, any other religious place you can find, you just go there if you're stuck. You want food, you want to stay, you want to just go and change. Go and change malls are really good. If you're traveling on a longer route, you just go and change it inside the mall, brush your teeth. You might have to just stay away from the eyes of the security, but that doesn't really, they don't really mostly check. Yeah. Now, this is the last slide. You remember the first conversation I said, we're a very insignificant part of the whole cosmos. The idea is we can either choose to be a tiny speck or be a part of the larger cosmos by oscillating in the same frequency as the world is oscillating. And that's your frequency that you usually feel in the flow state. When you're feeling your body, when you're there, present, not thinking about past or future. That's when you are, as a human in integrity, you are vibrating the same. And then you can be a part of that whole septillion stars and septillion galaxies. But otherwise, you'll always be a cancerous cell in the whole scheme of the larger universe. So yeah, that's what me and my colleague also concluded the conversation. Yeah, maybe there's a different way to look over this. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?